there are reports going around that beloved actor and comedian Jamie Foxx has been left partially paralyzed and blind. How? Well, blood clots have become widely popular the past 2 years, and it appears as though Fox had one of those in his brain.
Why is there an increase in all-cause mortality in the year that everybody got vaccinated?
Right.
Hey, what is going on with all the myocarditis? Hey, what's up with the strokes? Hey, and everyone's like, la, 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 not listening, la, la, la.
And completely unrelated, rumors are that Fox had been filming a movie with Cameron Diaz, and there were certain mandates that the actor did not want to comply with. However, in the end, there's speculation that he did. And we can only say the mandates worked, because Fox at least didn't get... Thank God he complied. In related news, a man who has spread around dangerous misinformation based on facts about such mandates is now presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Let me ask you about vaccines. Listen,
no.
Hold on.
You're
But I don't want.
La, 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 not listening, la, la, la.
After being banned by all social media platforms for sharing baseless misinformation that's provably true, Instagram and Facebook have re-entered the election interference game by preventing his presidential campaign from establishing social media accounts. And we say good, because if people, let alone presidential candidates like RFK, are allowed to talk, then people like Jamie Foxx might be persuaded into being less compliant. And that could result in great harm being done. But Kennedy has had his Twitter account reinstated since Elon took over, and Elon even hosted a Twitter Spaces for the presidential candidate recently. In contrast, the mainstream media, brought to you by Pfizer, is giving the viable presidential candidate zero coverage. However, word about Kennedy is getting out, as he's recently appeared on some of the world's most popular podcasts, including Russell Brand, Jordan Peterson, All In, London Real, Crystal and Sagar, and the Aubrey Marcus podcast. And just so you know, we forbid you from listening to any of those, or else our plan of silencing Kennedy, simply because we care, will not work. And in some good news, over the weekend, the type of government that we will have if you allow it, the Chinese Communist Party, arrested Hong Kong citizens for commemorating the Tiananmen Square massacre on its 34th anniversary. A little history lesson on that. The Tiananmen Square massacre occurred on June 4th, 1989. A crowd of over 1 million people gathered in the square protesting communism and demanding freedom. The Communist Party then brought in 250,000 soldiers who proceeded to open fire on the disarmed population, killing over 10,000 innocent citizens. The communist government has since forbidden its citizens from even speaking of the event, where they face 3.5 years in prison if they do. Even to this day. Through its always on the right side of history censorship, the Chinese Communist Party forbids its citizens from talking about it because they consider it to be dangerous misinformation. Sounds familiar. Such dangerous misinformation that they arrest people for even acknowledging it, which helps protect the public from knowing about it. History repeats itself unless it's learned from. The communists are doing their best to keep people from learning history so they can't learn from it, so the communists can do it again.
This is the problem with the consensus.
The consensus.
Okay, I just
medical professional.
I want you to
because the medical is so huge. I can find you an astrophysicist who is sure we've been visited by aliens. That's not the
problem was the scientific method died here, and this is the point I want to make.
It
died a death here, and I need you to help me save it because Dr. Peter McCullough is the leading cardiologist.
I don't care. Titles don't matter here.
La la la, not listening, la la la.
But what should matter?
Don't matter.
What
matters
should matter?
Is the consensus.
What should matter was that the consensus was not allowing to the table.
Then you bring that person here and have this conversation with them. Okay.
I have.
So you don't have to have the conversation with me.
But I want science, and so here's what we have. We have Peter McCullough, world-renowned heart doctor, saying, I am seeing a rise in myocarditis because of this vaccine. We have the leading ICU, second most published science, Paul Merrick. Hear me out here. Hear me out. I know you. All right. These have all been on my show. Dr. Robert Malone, part of the inventing factor behind the mRNA vaccine. All these people have been censored. They were shut down. They were kept from talking to the people in Washington. Johnny and was putting out the data.
Censored?
Dr. J, I'll show you.
Okay.
Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, Dr. Sunetra Gupta, Dr. Martin Koldorf, Oxford University, Harvard School of Medicine, Stanford School of Medicine, they put together the Great Barrington Declaration, which was an approach towards this to say, let's protect that simple small group that we know needs to be protected and figure out a way the rest of us can establish a herd immunity around them. And the NIH, who's supposed to be objective on this, we now have internal email, because this is what I do. I actually put in FOIA requests. We know that this is what Francis Collins said about those people before even talking to them. There needs to be a quick and devastating published takedown of the premise being brought by these scientists. That was the approach to science. No other science can be allowed in here. You started this out by saying every challenge should come in, every way to say that we don't agree with the hypothesis. Maybe these people say you don't need the vaccine, there's a way through this, or we should be tactical with the vaccine. All of these people were kept out of the conversation.
All I can comment
and you
in
were
there,
wanting me to sign onto a social contract where the scientific method isn't being used.
Okay. That list of highly pedigreed medical professionals that you are citing, I'm not interested in medical pedigree. I'm interested in medical consensus, in scientific consensus. The moment someone says, well, I'm of this highfalutin school or this, that's like, okay, that means they're going to say something that goes against the consensus, and they want to use that to help other people follow what it is they say. I'm just saying you need someone who represents a medical consensus here to have that conversation with.
We had a medical consensus around a product that we knew nothing about, and a medical consensus around a virus that told us they knew nothing about. They kept telling us we know very little about it. So why was there a medical consensus that was keeping out renowned scientists from the conversation when they were telling us on television we don't know a lot about this virus, we're trying to figure it out? Scientists that were on the ground, that were dealing with patients, were being censored, were being shut down, their YouTube channels were being shut down, their LinkedIns were being shut down.
Because the individual scientist does not matter.